But also like this conversation is kind of a silly conversation to have if we don't attach time scale to it.
Sure.
Right. So one of the interesting questions that came up on Twitter, and a few people had sort of mentioned this when I asked people, like, what do you want us to talk about? One thing that people wanted us to talk about is like, why do you guys get so triggered when people talk about Bitcoin and public treasuries?
We don't though.
Yeah, that came from, I can't remember his name. But like,
wait, if you can dish it, you got to take it.
Yep.
So like, let's take it a little here. I love criticism. I think it's a great way to highlight flaws in your own thinking. And by the way, like people criticize me all the time. Being a woman on the internet is hilarious because everything you do is subject to like 10 additional layers of scrutiny. And I've gotten a lot of criticism over the years, but it's actually been really informative because it has helped me realize that there are places where like I haven't examined my own thinking and I've had to ask myself some hard questions. And like, I think being open to changing your mind is one of the greatest skills you can have. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people in the crypto space, instead of being open to changing their minds, just double down.
Yes, very much so.
You have to be open to changing your mind. So here's my view on all of this, right? Bitcoin right now is the dominant asset because number one, Bitcoin is really unique. Like I do believe that in a pantheon of all cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin occupies an extremely unique place. There's so many things about Bitcoin that are just impossible to replicate. And this is a lot of what I talked about in the testimony I gave last year when I had the opportunity, you know, to be one of the representatives of our industry and hopefully try to make us look, you know, intelligent and practical. I don't know if I achieved it. I tried. But I think, you know, Bitcoin really is unique. And in terms of knowledge, right, and in terms of understanding, Bitcoin by far has the largest mind share of writing, of data, right? Like the ability to analyze the Bitcoin network, the ability to understand the economics of Bitcoin mining, the depth of the Bitcoin market, the depth of the options market, the derivatives market, the depth of just intellectual gravity that is going into Bitcoin is very, very deep.
Right.
And Bitcoin is the topic, like I come from the commodities world. When I first started learning about Bitcoin, I got it right away. Right? Because Bitcoin in so many ways, everything about it resembles a commodity, right? It's a digital commodity in my view. I think other things like Ethereum, the surface area is so vast. And I think even within the Ethereum community, like there is really no consistent narrative that's really easy to latch onto. It's going to take people much more time to understand where in their mental model something like Ethereum or another asset fits. Bitcoin is right now much easier for people to place. And this goes back to mental models, right? When I think about the world, like I have all these different little categories, and in each category, there's sort of a dominant category leader that comes to mind that occupies a lot of my mind share. So like I think about electric cars. What comes to mind when I say the word electric cars to you?
Tesla.
It's always Tesla.
Tesla. When I say space to you, what do you think about?
SpaceX.
Yeah,
Tesla.
right?
Yeah, and Elon.
Tesla.
Elon. Rockets.
Rocket. I love that he made the rocket look like the rocket emoji.
Yeah, I know. That's
like the man has style, and I am so into it. Style is underrated, by the way. We need more style.
He does a great job memeing his own success into existence. Speaking of memeing, and I know David wants to answer your question, but I want to ask you a question to like figure out what circle you're in, Meltem. So would you say, for instance, this is my acid test.
Yeah.
Well, David has his acid test, but so my acid test is, would you say that ETH is a shitcoin? Because I think ninth circle people definitely say that, right? But like, what's your answer to that?
No, I mean, I don't think ETH is a shitcoin. I have Ether in my portfolio. And I'm perfectly happy to talk about that.
Do you have shitcoins in your portfolio?
Yeah, they're all on my website.
Okay, so what's your definition of shitcoin then? Because to me, a definition of a shitcoin is something you don't have in your portfolio.
Look, I think the word shitcoin gets thrown around really loosely. And maybe, you know, I myself have really enjoyed using this term. I believe that about a year and a half ago, you know, I brought a toilet onto stage and threw gold coins out of it.
I remember that.
I have no apologies. Again, you know, what we started the pre-podcast with is like, I have 3 rules in life, right? Number 1, I want to make money. Number 2, I want to have fun. And number 3, I want to learn something, but also have more fun. And all of those three things are kind of related. So, look, yes, there were a lot of pointless garbage coins that have no reason for existing. But I think that money, right, makes it possible, and like resources, generally speaking, beyond just financial capital, but like social capital and intellectual capital, can take things that start out as not meaningful, not interesting, and give them depth and gravity, and they evolve, right? Again, things change over time. Nothing is static and nothing exists in a vacuum. And what I think has been really interesting to watch about Ethereum, Ethereum has really found a really interesting use case with everything happening in DeFi. I just spent the last 3 days hosting the CoinShares Crypto Credit Summit. It was awesome. And a lot of the conversation was about what's being built, the financial applications and financial products being built on top of Ethereum. So I think, again, as things mature, as people find these different narratives and draw out these different narratives and build on these different narratives, as financial capital flows into these ecosystems and allows people to build more, there's sort of this relationship, right? Or like you start with an idea, and it can be a crazy idea. And then a little bit of capital flows in, and that capital allows them to produce things. And then more capital pours in, which allows you to produce even more things. And there's sort of this recursive wheel where more capital facilitates more building, which facilitates more capital flowing in. And I think that's what's going on with a lot of these newer projects that I maybe a year or two ago would have called shitcoins, right? Because at that point, like, they were ideas and they were trading at ridiculous valuations. The other thing that I think is important to keep in mind is I think we have an obsession with price in this industry, right? And we always talk about price, like price. Like, we need to stop. It's hard to not think about price, right? And my rule number one is like, I want to make money. Like, I'm not doing this out of charity. I love working in this industry. I can't imagine working anywhere else. But like, let's be real. All of us are also here because we think we can make a livelihood here and like be successful here. But I think what's been interesting to see is like, this obsession with price leads to this environment where people are trying to justify the price for something. And here's a really interesting thing. If we look at the stock market today, like, look at the stock of Zoom or even the stock of Tesla, right? Tesla produces less cars than any other car manufacturer in the world. Yet their valuation based on their stock price is higher than every single other automaker in the world combined. Now, if I looked at Tesla's stock price as a rational human being using a price-driven, sort of fundamental value-driven investor model, like Benjamin Graham style value investor, I would say Tesla stock is way too expensive. It's way too overvalued. But we don't live in that world anymore, right? This is the mental model shift that's happened. So this is where I think this obsession with trying to rationalize something, whether something is cheap or too expensive or underhyped or overhyped, is so stupid, because there is no way to put a price on this, right? And we don't live in that world anymore because value investing has gone out the window. It went out the window like 12 months ago.